LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in a Friday edition, Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show here in the Raising Cane studio downtown Baton Rouge. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for Hunt Palmer. He had a family issue he needed to deal with, and we were happy to give our guys some assistance. Not actually sure that that's correct, though. Yeah, Hunt might still be celebrating the Cubs' victory last night. I'm not sure.
Myers had his tonsils removed, so that was why he's with Myers today. Taking care of him, so that's why he's out.
Celebrating the Cubs victory.
Well, yeah, of course.
We'll go ahead and throw that in there. We'll talk Cubs a little bit later and take it or leave it, guys. Again, Football Friday. We're going to talk all things college football and NFL. I know LSU doesn't have a game, but I do have some thoughts on the LSU Tigers as they are kind of in their bye week, trying to hit reset after the loss to the Ole Miss Rebels. We got Jacob back. We got Cassie Spazzali. Paul O'Neill was in here earlier doing something. I don't know. We're all having fun on this Friday. And look, we're going to talk LSU here in just a second, but did you guys hear the big news? Did you hear the big news?
Are you talking about maybe specific musical artists maybe release an album today?
Yeah, Luke Combs released 3 songs today.
Did he actually?
Luke Combs released 3 songs today, but that is not what I'm
that's
getting
pretty
at.
cool. I
Look,
should listen to those.
Beck, it's the reason we're all smiling a little bit wider today. While we're all standing a little bit taller. Why Cassie got to work a little bit later than she normally does. Because we were all staying up late last night listening to the new Taylor Swift album, right? I know Cassie was. She's got the Taylor Swift shirt on today and everything.
Yeah, were you actually listening? Did you listen to the whole thing, Cassie, or what?
I do have my Taylor Swift shirt on. However, that was a coincidence. It was just one on top.
Okay.
And I did not listen to the album.
When approached in the hallway by me and Matthew Musso about what do you think of the album, Cassie abruptly is like, guys, I'm not even a Swiftie. I didn't listen to the album. While wearing a Taylor Swift shirt in front of our face.
And
now, my theory is the reason Cassie has that shirt on, what do you do when you're listening to a Taylor Swift album? You throw on Taylor Swift gear, obviously. Cassie fell asleep in that shirt, woke up late, was like, crap, got to get to work, did her hair, came to work. That's where we're at.
And not only did she say it to YouTube, but also just hasn't not seemed very, very cordial today. It's been very, very.
This is a different Cassie Spazzali.
It really is.
Honestly, Beck, it's a little scary.
It is scary.
I
would agree with
times.
you. I mean,
it's like when you see a really sweet cat and you try to go pet it and they go and you kind of jerk it back a little bit. That's been Cassie all day long today.
It's not a bad description.
No, because Cassie's one of the nicest people in the building. She's normally pretty quiet. So you're like, oh, Cassie's very approachable. Not today. Do not get into the way of one Miss Cassie Spazzali. But Beck, I got to tell you, I know you're not the Swiftie that Miss Spazzali over here is.
I'm not.
But I bet you listen to it.
I have not listened to the new album yet.
Wow.
Pretty scandalous stuff, man.
That's what I've heard.
Taylor Swift has joined the dark side, my friend. I mean, we were looking up lyrics to the album like I felt like I needed to go to church after reading a couple of them, dude. I mean, it was serious stuff.
Well, she did show with her Reputation album that she wasn't afraid to mix things up a little bit. But I haven't heard any of the songs yet. But you did explain one of the songs.
You don't need to hear them because
she's gone off the deep end.
Let's be honest. All the songs nowadays are so overly edited. You're not going to understand what she's saying anyways. Just go read the lyrics.
Yeah.
My theory is Travis Kelce wrote this entire album.
Really?
I think so.
See it.
She mentions being on the whole block, bossing up and settling down. Who talks like that? This has Travis Kelce written all over it. Like, take away the scandalous nature of it, the songs aren't good. The lyrics aren't good.
Yeah.
Isn't that what she's kind of known for? Like, I don't know. I'm not a Swiftie, but I feel like
her storytelling.
I feel like everybody all the time's like, oh, well, her songs are just so deep. She's such a storyteller. No. When I read this, I was like, this kind of sounds like a 10-year-old. I was like, wait a minute. Travis Kelce wrote this album. Like, that's where I'm at. It was tough to read. Tough to read.
It's very different lyrics than what we're used to from Taylor, and I don't know if I like it.
I don't like it. You know what else I don't like, guys?
What?
The LSU running game. I don't like the LSU
It's not
running
good.
game. Her album's tough to listen to. The LSU running game is tough to watch. And, you hear people all the time say, okay, well, what's going on with LSU's running game in 2025? You got bigger problems than that. LSU's running game issue is not a 2025 issue. LSU has not had a traditional running game since Brian Kelly's been here in 4 years. Now, you're going to say, well, what about Jaden Daniels? I'm talking traditional running game. I'm not talking about one of the best players in program history standing back there being Superman and making something out of nothing. I'm talking traditional running game behind the offensive line. You hadn't had it in 4 years. Now, is that Brian Kelly? Is that Brad Davis? Is that a combination of the two? Because, you've had two different offensive coordinators. I get criticizing Joe Sloan. A lot of people have done that. But your running game outside of Jaden Daniels wasn't great under Mike Denbrock. Now, you were good in short yardage. But, again, how much of that was Jaden Daniels' scrambling ability, spreading out the defense, not crowding the box? You don't have that. You didn't have it last year. You damn sure don't have it this year. Your offensive line's not good. That's first and foremost. I think you have a problem at left tackle. Everyone wanted to criticize Weston Davis at right tackle, and I get it. He's been shaky. It's his first year starting, but Tyree Adams really hasn't been as advertised so far throughout the 2025 season either. He was actually your lowest graded offensive lineman in that loss to Ole Miss. He graded out at 51.8, by far the lowest. So your right tackle's been shaky. Your left tackle's been shaky. Since Braylon Moore came back from that ankle injury, he's been good. He's not quite what he was in that Clemson game. It's ironically probably your two most consistent offensive linemen, maybe Paul Mabinga and Josh Thompson. There were a lot of people out there that did not want Paul Mabinga to start because they remembered what he did in the Texas A&M game. But he got better. I think each game throughout that season last year, Texas A&M won. He graded a little bit higher each game than he did the previous game. So he showed improvement. And then when Josh Thompson came in, everyone thought he was going to be a starter, but there was always kind of a big debate on is he more guard or tackle. Those guys have probably been your most consistent. Again, does the offensive line issues, did they trace back to Brad Davis? Is it a Brian Kelly thing? That's a bigger issue altogether because you haven't had a running game in 4 years, in my opinion. But if you want to try to fix the running game here in 2025, something keeps getting brought up, and I just don't know if I can get behind it. So many people this week have brought up the name Michael Van Buren. And I get it. When your offense is struggling, you blame the quarterback. The quarterback's hurt. He's not playing well. This discussion of whether Garrett Nussmeier's hurt or not, if you watch the game, it is very obvious that Garrett Nussmeier's hurt. He can't throw the ball downfield. And go watch his entire throwing motion. It's completely different than it was a year ago. Everyone's going to point to the interceptions. He made bad decisions a year ago, but he knew how to throw the football. The guy can barely throw it 15 yards. He is obviously hurt. But I've seen people bring up, okay, well, what about Michael Van Buren? You can just put him in there and run the football. I disagree with that. Kelly was asked about this on Wednesday of, hey, do you have some packages? And he was asked about Michael Van Buren. And he mentioned, a package of a running quarterback in there, but he doesn't want to take Garrett Nussmeier off the field. Well, I'll tell you right now, the package he has that he is referring to, at least in fall camp, was not Michael Van Buren. It was Jawan Johnson. They ran it, I think, and I didn't make every single practice. I made most of them. Some of them were during OTB when we were on air and I couldn't make it out there. But I made most of them, and I think every single time I was out there, they were practicing on this little goal line situation or inside the 10, if you will. Jawan Johnson was at quarterback. You had Caden Durham. You had pick your running back. Malachi Lane, the walk-on, he was in there a few times getting reps with the ones as a lead blocker. And Jawan Johnson was taking direct snaps at quarterback. But Kelly's answer was, well, I'm not going to take Garrett Nussmeier off the field. Two things. One, Garrett Nussmeier was not off the field with what we saw in fall camp. Garrett Nussmeier was lined up out wide. I'm good with not taking your starting quarterback off the field. But also, you worked on this a lot during fall camp, and you have a package in place. He said, we have a package in place, but I don't want to take Garrett Nussmeier off the field. So basically, you worked on this in fall camp. You have it in place, but you're never going to run it, is kind of what I took away from it. So maybe throw that out the window. But there's also the faction of LSU fans that have said, we'll just replace Nussmeier with Michael Van Buren altogether. I disagree with that. I think Garrett Nussmeier at 80% is better than Michael Van Buren. I saw Michael Van Buren in fall camp. He struggled a little bit. Now, at the time, I did not realize he was going against maybe the best defense in all of college football, but still he struggled. He missed some throws. He was good against Southeastern, but you're not playing a team of that caliber for the rest of the year. But everyone's saying, well, just put in Van Buren. He can run. I mean, he can stretch the field. He can be part of your running game. He really doesn't, though. Like, if you go back and look at what he did last year at Mississippi State, because he started 8 games last year for Mississippi State, and it was because, if you remember, Blake Shapen went down after week 4. They put in Van Buren, and he did some good things through the air, but when you go look at his rushing numbers, they're just not there. And honestly, credit to hailstate.com. They do a great job of, like, because, you know, in college football, they do the stupid rule of sack yardage counts against your rushing totals. I think that's dumb. Well, at Hail State, they do, here's how many attempts they had, here's what they gained, here's what they lost in sack yardage. So taking sack yardage out of it, Michael Van Buren's best game last year on the ground, it was against UMass. Now, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, but his running total, 9 carries for 36 yards. His longest rush was 17 yards. I mean, remember, people a week ago clowned Garrett Nussmeier. Oh, he had the 26-yard run against Southeastern. His previous long was only like 14. Michael Van Buren's is 17. And I've heard the argument of, well, you know, he didn't have to run in that offense, but like you can go watch him in high school. He ran there. I went and did that yesterday. There's a 10.5 to 11-minute clip on YouTube. It's free. It's a huddle video. You can see Michael Van Buren's entire senior year. I saw him take off and run a handful of times. Like, look, I mean, this LSUsports.net has his bio. When you go look at it, it mentions his high school numbers, and the tape backs it up, believe me. His senior year of high school, he missed 4 games, but his senior year of high school, the whole season-wide total, he had 125 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. I'm not saying Michael Van Buren can't run. What I'm saying is everyone's assuming, and their perception is that he can run the football. Maybe he can, but the only thing we have to go by right now is the numbers of what he's done in high school and at Mississippi State. And the numbers don't tell that. They actually tell a completely different story. They tell the story of a guy who's pretty good at the short to intermediate passes that can take off when he needs to, but doesn't do it a whole lot. Sound familiar? Like, obviously something needs to be done with LSU's running game. I'm not here telling you it's great. It's awful. You struggled to run the ball and had less than 60 yards rushing against the 14th ranked defense in the SEC and Ole Miss. Like, not only did you struggle running the ball, you struggled against a bad team. Your offensive line's bad. We know that. Your running game's been bad, in my opinion, for 4 years now. Obviously, something needs to be fixed in the running game. But to say that Michael Van Buren's going to come in here and be that answer, I don't think Michael Van Buren helps you in the running game, at least not significantly. He can move around in the pocket. And people continue to say, well, I saw him in the Southeastern game. Yeah, he moved around in the pocket. You guys, off the top of your head, know what he did in the Southeastern game running? It was 4 carries for 16 yards. Again, he can move a little bit, but he's not a Jaden Daniels type. First off, you're not getting that again, but this is not a guy that looks to run. If you want to say, well, Garrett Nussmeier's too hurt to play and I want to play Michael Van Buren, I'll listen to the argument. I don't think it's correct, but I'll listen to the argument. You telling me, well, if you put in Michael Van Buren, it keeps the defense honest, they can't drop 8 into coverage, and it automatically improves your running game because of his ability as a rusher. I can't get behind that. And again, maybe he can, and he just hasn't been asked to do it. But all of that is speculation. The only thing we have to go by are his numbers, and the numbers say that the guy's not much of a runner. And the high school tape shows that he's not that much of a runner. Something needs to be done. I just don't know if Michael Van Buren can help you, and it doesn't sound like he's going to because Brian Kelly said, point blank, I'm not taking Garrett Nussmeier off the field. All right, look, we're going to take a timeout. We're going to talk a little bit more LSU next. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com coming on in his normal spot next. I'm going to avoid the running game if at all possible with him. I wanted to get into it a little bit there, but frankly, I'm tired of talking about it. We know the running game's bad. It's probably not going to get any better. It's just something LSU is going to have to navigate and hopefully improve as the season goes along. But we're talking more Tigers next. That's coming up here on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for our guy, Hunt Palmer. We do it every Friday around this time. Let's bring in our guy, Preston Guy from TigerBait.com. The most expensive guest of the week, actually, because when I texted him yesterday to make sure he was still good to go, his text was, since I have to talk to you, my rate has doubled. Well, Preston, that's fine. We're going to send the bill to Hunt Palmer. It's his fault you're having to do this. So whatever the fee is, we're sending it to our guy, Hunt Palmer.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you making sure everybody on the air hears it so we hold them accountable. I just want to do some quick math that 2 times 0 is still 0. So I'll make sure that Hunt gets the doubled invoice.
I think he can handle that. I don't think that'll do too much of a dent to him on the financial front. All right, Preston, look, it's a football Friday, but not for us Tiger fans. I mean, you're going to watch games across the country, but LSU not playing. And, there's a lot of different opinions of like, oh, well, it's good to have a bye week after a loss so you can reset. But also, as a fan, you kind of want to get back out there because now you have to sit on this loss for 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on, like, a bye week after a loss? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Where do you kind of sit on that?
Well, it's great for the team to actually win the game, but as us watching, it sucks because we have to, sit and mull over just how inept your offense was. And, on Monday night I did my show, and I had a nice 7-minute rant, monologue, whatever you want to call it, on just how bad the offense has been and how inexcusable it is for the coaches. But now, okay, you get that off your chest, and then what's next? You know what I mean? Like, all right, we're stuck with that same frustration is what we ought to mull over. But for the team, and particularly, I don't want to throw the word injury out loosely for Nussmeier, but I think he might be hurting.
Nah, there's something going on, Preston. You're not off on that. There's something up.
Yeah, whether he's injured or what, he's hurting is because you don't just go from a guy who's got a cannon arm to, looking like a 38-year-old, Brett Favre with torn paper or whatever. Like, he looks like Peyton Manning his final year is what he looks like out there right now. So he looks like a quarterback who is in pain. So give me those 2 weeks to let him heal up and let's figure out. And by the way, they're giving him the week off and letting Van Buren get first team reps. So, if Nuss can't give you what you need to do, well, then the Van Buren's getting prepared. So it's probably just what the doctor ordered if you actually want to win the football game.
All right, well, look, the bye week, it's a chance to improve some things, right? I ain't talking running game, okay? We've done it all week. I'm tired of it. I just did a running game segment last segment. So outside of the running game, what improvements do you want to see going into South Carolina that maybe they fix in this bye week?
Well, and I don't know. My hot take, probably what a lot of people aren't going to hear is, I feel like the running game is beyond repair, in my opinion.
Preston, I kind of just said that last segment.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm just regurgitating what you said. My bad, Taylor.
No,
but yeah, I think if you're going to win anything of substance, it's going to be behind a passing attack that, keeps them off their heels and hopefully stay on the field at least long enough to get them being honest, right? Now, unfortunately, it all starts up front, and right now they can't block a 3-man front with 8 men dropping coverage. That's never a recipe for success. So you've got to tighten it up. I don't know if you need to bring in running backs for protection or whatever it may be, but the protection up front is inexcusably bad right now. It is not performing at an SEC level. So you got to tighten that up, but then outside of that, you got to figure out how you can get a quarterback who can throw the ball more than 15 yards. Because right now you haven't been able to have that with any consistency.
Right, and I've seen a lot of people criticize Joe Sloan, and look, I get it. Everyone out there thinks that they can call plays, right? And we'll talk about him as a play caller in just a second, but I mean, to your point, if Nussmeier is hurt and he's struggling to get the ball 15 yards down the field, you're also a little bit limited in what you could do. But kind of going back to the play calls, what did you, I mean, there's not a ton of strategy right now because you have a hurt quarterback and you can't run the ball, but maybe what have you made of like, the scripted plays, the first 15? Because we looked at it the other day on OTB, and like, I think the last 4 games, you gained a total of 26 yards on your first drive. Like, those are the plays you come in knowing you're going to run. Like, what's maybe your thought on this philosophy so far this year?
It seems like every game you come out and your offense is just as slow as possibly imaginable. Mm-hmm. It's almost like the adjustments are better than the opening script. But I don't know if it's that the play calling and script is that bad, or if just on every play you have a quarterback who can't stretch the field, who's missing open play. One thing that stands out to me, like, remember the Berry and Brown underthrow? And I feel like we're overusing this example, but it's just so
the Louisiana Tech game, right?
Right. Well, that was Louisiana Tech, Berry and Brown underthrow, right? It was intercepted. That was in your first 15 plays of the game, right? So sometimes there's script and stuff where there's open players, but between the drops, the missed blocks, the underthrows, the poor accuracy plays. I mean, like, I remember, like, one of the early plays against Ole Miss, they hit Bauer Sharp for what would have been a first down if Nussmeier just doesn't hit him in the ankle. So I look at it less of the script and play calling. I think if your play calling is doing anything wrong, it's that you're doing too much. and you don't have, a 15, 20 bread and butter plays that you can run in your sleep. That would be my, and the fact that they're not implementing anything to initiate an attempt at a power running game. You ran with a fullback one play and you never went back to it ever again. Those are the flaws that I see in the play calling, but more so than anything, it's the execution. I mean, players, at the end of the day, the play call is what the play call is. You got to block for it. You got to execute on what is called.
Preston, want to get a little bit more positive as we get to the back half of this interview. This defense under Blake Baker has been incredible. And, last segment I was talking a little bit of like, the backups, it wasn't just Nussmeier. Like, all the quarterbacks kind of struggled in fall camp. Yeah. But when you and I were out there on the sidelines, we didn't realize at the time that they were going up against maybe one of the best defenses in all of college football. Where do you rank this defenses among, units you've seen this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly in the top 10. I mean, easily. You can point out a few flaws they had against that Ole Miss unit, right? I'm going to point out the fact that they were on the field 86 plays.
Right.
And they gave up 24 points to one of the brightest minds in college football. I think anytime you're out there that long and you give up that few points, you've done a pretty good job. Now, they did give up more than 450 yards, and obviously, Tristan Chambers was able to take advantage of them running the ball well. But there's only so much you can ask of a unit when your offense leave them out there hanging to dry as long. So I like a lot of what Blake Baker's doing. I still think this defense is good enough to carry this team to a championship, but you got to get this. The offense at least has to manage the game. You have to at least have a respectable offense that can stay on the field and put up 25 points.
Right. I mean, no, I'm right there with you. Like, you scored 25 on offense. You're beating 90% of the teams you play this year because your defense is that good. All right. I want to throw a little bit of a different one at you. This can be positive or negative. Take it however you want. You got a surprise player so far through the first quarter of the season for the Tigers?
Surprise player. Well, as good surprise, I'm hoping is what you're aiming for. There's probably been a lot of that. I mean, the bad surprise, if that's what you're hoping for, it's got to be Garrett Nussmeier.
Right.
For sure.
Right.
We all expected him to be an absolute stud, and we've gotten the exact opposite. The good surprise, let me think here. Deshaun Spears is a real good one. We probably didn't expect much from him, and he's come in and made a very strong impact. Bernard Gooden, but we kind of expected him from fall camp. I mean, I guess the good surprise has just been how dominant this defense has been as a whole.
Right. All right, Preston, before we get you out of here, just one more. Okay, you're sitting at 4-1 now. You lose to Ole Miss. You got a tough slate of games coming up ahead of you. Give me, just right now, at this moment, what do you think LSU's final record will be?
Yeah, well, I do expect that, there's ebbs and flows of the season, right? And your offense isn't – people improve and get worse throughout the season. That's just how football works, right? I mean, then a lot of times you have to base it off of what you've seen. What I've seen out of this offense, I mean, if you don't improve pretty substantially, 8-4 is your ceiling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of there.
I do expect some improvement, but I haven't seen it yet. So it's hard for me to predict that's what's going to happen. I honestly think if you had turned to a backup quarterback, your ceiling increases, but we don't even know that they're going to get that. We don't know. It's in my gut as hard to predict that they don't get better. You're at a pretty low point, a pretty deep trough in terms of offensive production. It seems like there's only room to go up. It's just, are you capable of going up enough to let that defense have a chance to win you games?
All right, so we're going 8-4 right now.
Yeah, based off of what I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 8-4, 9-3. I'm right there with you, Preston. All right, dude, we've kept you long enough, man. Thanks so much for hopping on. That is Preston Guy right there, TigerBait.com. Preston, thanks for the time.
All right, guys, see you soon.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to shift. It's still going to be Football Friday. We're going to go a little bit more towards the NFL. Me and Jacob Beck, we're going to give you some surprise teams in the NFL. I got some positives. I got some negatives. We're hitting on that next. You're on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Whenever I say remodel, you might think, oh, that's a huge project, going to cost a fortune, going to take forever, have to leave my home. Well, that stuff can happen, but that's not really what we're talking about here. To further that point, let's just talk about something simple like a tub to shower conversion. That's not massively expensive. That's not super invasive. That's not super time consuming. It's a simple process that can be done if your bathtub is not used, if it's old and dingy, if it's not functional. You take that bathtub out, put in a glass walk-in shower. It changes the aesthetic, changes the functionality of your bathroom, adds value to your home. David Vaughn and his team can help you with it every step of the way. They handle everything. You don't call him and then call the guy to handle this part, and this guy handles the floor. And one contractor, one call. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation and get that process started today. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online, onebathandclosets.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luva, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Welcome back in. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Mr. Hunt Palmer, who will be back on Monday. We got a Football Friday edition here brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Right now, I want to shift a little bit to the NFL. We'll talk Saints, Giants a little bit later, and we'll have Ross Jackson on in hour number 2. But right now, I just kind of want to look at maybe the season as a whole, because there's a lot of things that have really surprised me. And Beck, I'll go to you first. Give me a team out there. Like, we'll go positive and negative. We'll start positive first. Is there a team out there that has surprised you in a positive way?
Yes, the one that I actually talked about this on the show maybe a week ago. We were doing an NFL tier list, and they're definitely the one I immediately think of, and it's the Indianapolis Colts. You bring in a quarterback in Daniel Jones, who no one ever would have thought was going to have a chance at being successful. Starting for a Colts team that wasn't good last year. I mean, they I don't know what was their record. I think they won maybe five or six games last year, maybe 7.
It wasn't good.
No, it wasn't good.
So that's what I got for you.
Yeah, that's all. They weren't good, and they turn around and they go out and blow out Miami in week 1. Who Miami probably isn't very good this year, but still, that's a big opening win. You go, you play Denver at home, win a close one there. You blow out the Titans, who probably aren't that good either. But then you go on the road and play the Rams, who look to be a pretty good team, and you lost the game by 1 touchdown. And the rest of their schedule is pretty favorable. They got the Raiders and the Cardinals next. They do have to go on the road to LA again, but who cares about playing in LA? Then you get the Titans, and their schedule is really not that bad. I could really see them contending for the AFC South. And Daniel Jones has just been really solid for them, and it's almost like anytime a quarterback gets drafted by a New York team, that they're just kind of destined for failure. And we've seen now with multiple examples. Geno Smith hasn't been as good this year or last year, but he was really good for the Seahawks for a few years. And then you've got Daniel Jones now with starting really, really well for the Colts, and Sam Darnold has had his good few years as well. So for me, the Colts are probably the biggest, the best positive surprise for me.
No, I don't hate that answer. And it's funny. I was looking at this last night when I decided we wanted to do this. I originally wanted to go Colts, but I was like, I'm not going Colts. They hadn't played anybody. But to your point, it doesn't really matter that they hadn't played anybody, because Titans, you're probably winning that game. I think they are by far, good news for Saints fans. I don't think you have the worst team in the NFL, because I think is the Tennessee Titans by a large margin. I don't think the Falcons are very good. The Chargers, yeah, they're good. Then you got the Texans, you've already beaten. They're not great. The Jags, what are they? I know they're 3-1, but how good are they? The only issue I have, again, is you started 3-0. The teams you beat were a combined 1-8 in those first 3 games. But you hung in there with the Rams. I think the Rams are a lot better. I think the Rams probably should have won the game last night. I think they let that one slip away. They definitely should have beat Philadelphia 2 weeks ago. You could argue, the Rams are sitting there at 3-2. You could argue they're 4-1, maybe even 5-0. That was a 27-20 ball game. Came right down to the wire. And to your point, as efficient as Daniel Jones is being, yeah, that's a team that could maybe make a little bit of a run. For me, hand up, I was dead wrong about this. I think every time I filled in for Hunt, filled in for Jake, Flynn, whoever, I said Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to work. And boy, was I wrong, because they're 3-1 right now. They're probably going to run away with the AFC North. The Ravens are already 1-3. Now you lose Lamar Jackson for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You start 1-5, it's going to be hard to get back into that for anything more than a wild card spot. You have Jake Browning filling in for Joe Burrow. He looks atrocious. Now you have Dylan Gabriel starting his first game for the Browns. Their quarterback room's a mess, like it always is. The Steelers are probably going to run away with that division. When I looked at it in the offseason, my thought was, I just don't think personality-wise, Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin are going to fit together. Tomlin's, more that hard-nosed, kind of by-the-book guy. Aaron Rodgers does things a little bit differently, kind of likes to march to the beat of his own drum. Because a lot of people criticized Aaron Rodgers last year, and I did too, but when you go look at it, his numbers, just raw numbers, weren't quite as bad as the record showed with the New York Jets. And Beck just mentioned, hell, it's a football team in the state of New York. They're not good. They hadn't been good for a number of years. But I didn't think that Aaron Rodgers would be this good. I didn't think they'd be 3-1. And when you look at the injuries around that division, Steelers have a really good shot at winning that AFC North. I did not think that was going to be possible. All right, Beck, you got a quick negative for me, because there's plenty of those to go around as well.
Yeah, and you mentioned them already. The Baltimore Ravens, man, it's Especially now with Lamar being out. Kyle Hamilton apparently is going to be out for them for a while, one of the best safeties in the NFL. This is tough, man. Their defense is just so bad. It's
like
incredible.
when have the Ravens ever had like one of the worst defenses in the NFL? Because they got it this year.
Yeah, it's shocking. And like I mentioned, Kyle Hamilton. They have other guys on that defense that are good. I mean, like it's not like they have a bunch of unqualified guys playing defense for them, but for some reason they just get into shootouts every game, except for Cleveland, which Cleveland's really bad, and they just can't stop anybody. And Lamar can keep them, and he'll be able to keep them in some of those games that they can win shootouts. But this kind of feels like a Drew Brees and Saints offense where the defense is so bad and you have to score 30, 35 points to even have a chance at winning. And that's just you can't do that in the NFL. It's just not feasible to do that over especially 17 games. You can't keep that up. And we see now with Lamar hurt. He's having to do a lot, and it caught up to him. And now they got to play. Their schedule is not super easy. They do get Houston and the Rams next week or the week after that, but still, like it's going to be it's really really crazy to think that the Ravens would start a season 1-3. By the way, I did mention this stat when we talked about the Ravens and Chiefs game last week. No team that started the season 1-3 has ever won a Super Bowl. So I think you can probably, especially with Lamar out, I mean, the Ravens are probably out of the consideration for the Super Bowl. They may have a problem with making the playoffs. They may just be a wild card team at this point.
Well, it's the Ravens. They were going to win the Super Bowl anyways because the Ravens the past couple of years have choked at big moments.
Well, that's true.
And not just Lamar. John Harbaugh's made coaching blunders all over the place. My negative is the Houston Texans. This is a team that has been to the playoffs back-to-back years. You're 1-3. The only team you beat, you destroyed the Tennessee Titans 26-0, but they're awful. Like, Cam Ward is dead last in completion percentage, yards, and passing touchdowns. Basically, every important stat right now for the quarterback position, Cam Ward is last. That is the worst team in the NFL by far. That's your only win. And it's weird to say that a team that is giving up 11 points per game is 1-3. They have the best defense statistically in the NFL, and you're 1-3. We know DeMeco Ryans is a good coach. He's been to the playoffs twice. He's a great defensive coordinator. And you have weapons. Like, look at the defensive side of the ball. Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, two elite edge rushers. You have Stingley, even though he's a little bit banged up. Jalen Petry's a really good member of your secondary. Like, that defense has pieces, and you're still not winning. It's a little bit of an indictment on C.J. Stroud for me. C.J. Stroud was really good as a rookie. Took a little bit of a step back last year, but he still got the team to the playoffs and won a playoff game against the Chargers, so I didn't look into it too much. This is a Texans team that they got weapons on offense. Like, I understand that Joe Mixon hasn't played. Woody Marks looks good. Nick Chubb's look better than people expect. Their offensive line's bad, but you have Nico Collins, who, when fully healthy, is a borderline top 10 receiver. Jaden Higgins has shown some promise as a 6'4" rookie out of Iowa State. I mean, he was a highly touted guy coming into the draft. Christian Kirk is out there. He's a solid receiver. And Dalton Schultz is playing like a top 5 tight end. Like, you have weapons there. And a lot of people want to blame the play calling. But Bobby Slowick was your offensive coordinator a year ago. Your offense was a little bad. He's not the offensive coordinator this year, and it's even worse. Like, I like C.J. Stroud. I was really high on him, not coming into the draft, but after that rookie year, I'm like, okay, look, the Texans may have found a little bit. He's taken a few steps back. And I understand his O-line's bad, but they're going to have to turn that thing around in a big way for me to believe in the Houston Texans. They got a decent schedule coming up, but, I mean, how much better is it going to get? I just mentioned Stingley's banged up. Like, they weren't winning when fully healthy. Now they got a few injuries along the offensive line that already wasn't good. You have Stingley banged up, and C.J. Stroud just doesn't seem right. I mean, his numbers have dipped. Rookie year to the second year. This year, they're not good at all. I like DeMeco Ryans. I love that defense. Again, 11 points per game, best in the NFL. You're 1-3. Something has to be done with that offense. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We get back to close out hour number 1. We're going to have a quick New Orleans Saints, New York Giants segment. I'll kind of give you my overall thoughts, maybe a little score prediction. Then we'll have Ross Jackson on at 2:15 for a little bit of a longer breakdown. That's coming up next here on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Safety, probably a big deal if you're in the market for a vehicle. If you go shop at Genesis of Baton Rouge, you will know that you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road, because every single model on the line, every single model was a IIHA top safety pick. Some of them were top safety picks plus. So from the entry level to the highest end, you're talking about a car that is among the safest on the road. It's a big, big deal. So you start there, then you go check out the style, the comfort, all those bells and whistles that come with a luxury brand of vehicle. That's all there for you at Genesis Baton Rouge. And if you make a purchase, every single purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Every single purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. It's all there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. I invite you to go by and see them. Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital, or start your process today online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Builder School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by...
Welcome back in. Final segment, hour number 1, here on a Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Beck, if I knew you were going to have so much trouble with that, I never would have asked you to play a song.
All right. I mean, look.
I never would have done it.
No, you have to understand. I never play anything else for bump music besides the bed that we rotating bed.
This ain't Hunt Palmer, man.
I understand that, but I'm so used to doing that I just naturally do it. It's just what I do. It's a habit.
I did request it like maybe a minute ago. So
I wasn't ready.
In your defense, it was super last minute, but
it's all right. We got it. We got it in the end.
For those wondering, it is brought to you by Corks. I know that in Beck's rejoin, it said brought to you by and then cut off. It is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish, and shrimp. All right, look, we got a few minutes before we got to hit that top of the hour break. I want to give a few quick thoughts here on Saints versus Giants. Look, obviously, this is not a preview of the Super Bowl or any sort of playoff game for that matter. Neither of these teams are very good. But I hear, oh, this is a must-win game for the Saints. This is a must-win game for the Saints. And like, I'm kind of in that boat. And not because like, oh, if you lose this game, you're not going to make the playoffs. Playoffs are out of the window for this team. I think they're out of the window for both teams. But you need this win because I don't know where any wins come from if you don't get them here. Also, you get a win here, maybe you could go on a little bit of a run. It's not a particularly tough part of your schedule right now, but it does get tougher a little bit later down the stretch. Like, okay, you have the New York Giants at home. You have the New England Patriots at home. You have the Chicago Bears on the road. I don't think you will, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for the Saints to maybe win all three of those. Now, the Bears are playing a lot better, and the Patriots are a really good team. But you have 2 or 3 of those 3 games on the road. If you don't get at least 2 of those, like you play Tampa at home, Tampa's really good, you're losing that. You go to the Rams, who I think should potentially be undefeated. Like, take record out of it. They might be one of the best teams in the NFC. You'll probably get one of the 2 Carolina games because they're not good either. But, I mean, I just look at it like you got to get a win on the board. Like, I'm tired of everyone saying, oh, well, you're 0-10 with Spencer Rattler. I understand that. I do. But the Saints' issues is not a quarterback problem. Spencer Rattler's been fine. You put in Tyler Shuck, pretty much the exact same thing's going to happen because there's not a whole lot of talent around these guys. So will the Saints win? I got to tell you, I think they do. I think the Saints actually get it done. You're facing a rookie quarterback at home. Now, Jackson Dart made some things happen last week, and he upset the LA Chargers. But he made a lot of things happen on the ground. Like, you look at his passing through the air. What did he have? 145, 150? If you could stop the run, which they're already down Tyrone Tracy, you got Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterby. You key in on those 2 guys, limit what they can do on the ground. Look, Malik Neighbors is out for the season with a knee injury. I mean, their 2 receivers out wide are going to be Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. Both really good players. I don't know if they scare you as an opposing defense. I don't think the Saints secondary is going to be, shaking in their boots the night before the game, worried about covering those guys. However, the Saints secondary hasn't been great either. You're getting a little bit more healthy. I know you're out without Cesar Ruiz. Cesar Ruiz ain't that good anyways. You get Trevor Penning back. I know people have a certain opinion on Trevor Penning, but it's important that you lose a guard, but you get another starting guard back. So you're not without 2 starting offensive line. Also, what's the deal with Chase Young? Like, when we have Ross on, we're going to talk about that. I mean, the guy had like a calf injury before the season started. They're like, oh, well, it's kind of a week-to-week thing. He may miss 1 or 2 weeks. Like, we're in week 5. And Chase Young is still not practicing. Don't really know what the deal is there. I mean, you invested a lot of money into a premium position, and you're 5 weeks in, and the guy doesn't look any closer to playing now than he did during week 1 right before the season started. But you're facing a rookie quarterback at home. He doesn't have Malik Neighbors, his number 1 weapon. Quincy Riley looks like he's going to get the start in place of Isaac Edom. And yes, you're throwing a rookie out there, but how much worse can he be? Isaac Edom hadn't been great. And then when you look at the Saints' schedule, like, I know that their offense has been bad. I mean, they just haven't put up points. Their defense really hasn't been. And you haven't played juggernauts on offense or anything like that. You gave up 20 to the Cardinals. You lost 26-21 to the Niners, so a competitive game. And I understand you lost by 11 points to the Buffalo Bills, but if Spencer Rattler in the 4th quarter makes that throw to Brandon Cooks in the end zone, the Saints take the lead in Buffalo. Now, do they win that game? Probably not, because after that, Josh Allen kind of woke up. Him and James Cook ran it down your throat. They went down the field. They extended their lead. But you have a chance to take the lead in the 4th quarter on the road to a team that some consider the best team in the NFL, and you were, what, was it 12.5, 13.5 point underdogs going into that game? You've been competitive. The only game you have not been competitive in is the Seattle Seahawks game. And honestly, like that was just a cluster from the start. Seattle gets the ball. They go right down the field and score. Your defense wasn't ready for it. Then you punt the ball to them. They take a punt return back to the house, 14-0. You're punting from your own 10. They come in, they block the punt. They get the ball inside your 10. They score. It's 21-0 in the first 6 minutes of that game. And the Saints are having to throw their way out of it, play catch up. That's not who they are. Like, I get it. You gave up 44 points to the Seattle Seahawks. It was just a bad showing from the start. Now, it counts as one of your performances, but that's kind of the outlier so far. I mean, you've been competitive for the most part, and I think this is the worst team you've played so far. Again, rookie quarterback, you're at home. I expect the Superdome to be loud. I hope it is. I hope they're still out there in full force because this defense has shown flashes. Like, your pass rush has been okay. Carl Granderson has done a pretty good job. Your secondary hadn't been great, but they're hurt on the offensive side at wide receiver as well. I do think it's a pretty good matchup for the New Orleans Saints. All right, that's going to do it here for hour number 1 here on a Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're talking college football, and we got Ross Jackson talking Saints. That's all coming up in hour number 2 here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Property and casualty or group employee benefits. Your one-stop shop for all things insurance is, of course, the Highland Insurance Group. If you're a business owner and you don't have a great relationship with your insurance broker, they're just the guy who came with the lowest premium number, that's one way to handle it, but it might not be the best way, especially when something happens. Whether it's a hurricane or a car accident or a cyber breach or a lawsuit or an injury. When that happens, you're going to need your insurance to respond. And if you only have the insurance in place because it was the cheapest one, it may not. Jonathan Carver and his team can be a trusted advisor and a part of your team as a business to make sure that your business continues to run even if the event happens. Give them a call or check them out online, HighlandIG.com. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but they can help you out statewide. It's Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Sean Ryder. We start with NFL news. Bucs lead running back Bucky Irving has been ruled out for Sunday's game at Seattle with a sprained foot. Jets running back Braylon Allen has been placed on IR with an MCL injury. Is expected to miss 8 to 12 weeks. 0-4 Saints take on the 1-3 Giants on Sunday in New Orleans. Saints quarterback Spencer Rattler going up against the New York defense.
Really good front. Probably one of the best in the league. We got to have a good plan for them. A lot of speed, a lot of power. On the back end, they don't do as much as what we've seen, from these other teams, disguise-wise. But, they got their wrinkles and everything. But they run what they do well and can cause some havoc, to quarterbacks and offenses. So we got to get the ball out on time, take our shots when they're there, and just move the chains.
Another NFL news, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy out for his third straight start with a high ankle sprain. Carson Wentz, once again the starter. Game 1 of the WNBA Finals tonight in Las Vegas. The Aces versus the Mercury. You can watch it on ESPN TV at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Monday. From NFL to college football and, of course, Major League Baseball playoffs. We'll recap it all in my Upon Further Review at 7 a.m. Eastern. It's Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in, hour number 2 here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hunt not here, Taylor Sharp in the host chair for our guy Hunt Palmer for another 60 minutes or so as we are working towards the weekend. Just awful news there if you heard the SportsCenter update. Bucky Irving ruled out for the Bucs. That's big for me, Beck, because Bucky
big
Irving.
For me.
Well, Bucky Irving's one of my fantasy running backs.
He is for me too.
Okay, so here's my question. I'm all for player safety, but it's pretty selfish of Bucky to rule himself out, not call us and discuss it with us.
At least tell us ahead of time, so that way we can adjust our rosters accordingly to the injury.
Well, there is one silver lining.
What is it?
I also have Rashad White.
I also have Travis Etienne. So I'm chilling.
Look, we're good.
We're good. It's all right.
Bucky Irving may not want to fight through it. You and I were going to fight through it.
We're going to fight through it.
We're going to roll through the punches. Okay, that's depressing for our fantasy teams. We were kind of depressing in hour number 1, talking about all the things LSU's awful at, all the things they need to fix, and I understand that. During this segment, I promise you, there's going to be people in our YouTube chat. Taylor, what are you talking about? LSU's the worst team in the league. We're not winning another game. I get it. It's tough to have a bye week after a loss. But look, it's the last hour of the work week on this show. Next week, you move on to South Carolina. What I want to do here is something that hasn't probably been done a lot on this station during this week. I'm going to give a little positivity segment for the LSU Tigers. I'm done with the negativity. It's time to move on to South Carolina. I want to look back through the first 5 games of the season and give you some bright spots for LSU because, believe it or not, guys, there's a lot of bright spots. There's a lot of negatives. You got some bright spots as well. First one, your secondary is absolutely awesome. I don't care how many yards Trinidad Chambliss threw for. You gave up 24 points. 24 points is 24 points. I don't care how many yards he threw for. And you were on the field for 90 plays compared to 53 or whatever it was for LSU. You were on the field way too much. You had an interception return for a touchdown that was called back. Then you got another pick. This team forces turnovers. You knew coming into the season, though, that this secondary had a chance to be special. I had talked about it on the morning show. I'm sure Hunt did. I'm sure Matt Moscona did. Anybody that was out there for this fall camp saw it. Look, the combination of Ansor Delane, P.J. Woodland, and then your two safeties, Tamarcus Cooley, A.J. Halsey, it could very well be the best in the SEC. And you can kind of see it coming. Not just from the performance of what you saw in fall camp, but you knew you were going to be improved. This is something I've brought up a number of times. You knew it was going to be better because the guys you relied on to start for you multiple games a year ago are struggling to find the field this year. Case in point, Jordan Gilbert started double-digit games for you a year ago. He can't find a spot in the safety rotation. They've actually moved him to star to back up Harold Perkins. But what happened? A.J. Halsey got ruled ineligible for the first half of the Clemson game. Gilbert goes in there. Boom. Awesome. So you have a really good frontline talent, but you also have solid depth. Like we were talking to Preston guy earlier, and he was like, Deshaun Spears is a bright spot for this team. I agree. I think Spears has played well. He's struggling to get in the starting rotation because A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley were so good. I thought Halsey and Cooley were really good against Ole Miss. Halsey was one of the highest graded players. I don't care what Cooley's grade was. I saw him make a bunch of plays in that Ole Miss game as well. Your secondary is awesome. It's not just the safeties, though, like DJ Pickett, Ashton Stamps. Like, think about it. Ashton Stamps was considered a team captain in fall camp. Took most of the first team reps. Then, maybe 2.5 weeks before the first game, it kind of shifted a little bit. P.J. Woodland was getting in there more and more. He was making plays in fall camp. P.J. Woodland's been awesome this year. Stamps has played sparingly. That's a guy who was essentially a 2-year starter for you coming into this season. And he was kind of your only returner. DJ Pickett, 5-star. He's played a lot. He's not in the starting rotation. Again, I mentioned Spears. I mentioned Jordan Gilbert. Javian Toviano is a guy we haven't seen a lot of. We've seen him, but again, your secondary is so deep. Also, I think your defensive tackle play has been much better from a year ago. Now, a year ago, you kind of try to piece it together because Jacobian Guillory goes down with the leg injury, like first game of the season, pretty much. You have to piece it together. You had a freshman, Ahmad Bro, who had to gain 40 pounds in the offseason just to slide inside. He was 245 when he got here as a freshman. He ended last season at, 285? He had to put on a lot of weight. You had Dominic McKinley, who's a physical specimen. He was a true freshman. And you had Gio Paez. That was kind of the only veteran guy you had. I mean, your best interior pass rusher from a year ago wound up being JVR Suggs, who was a little bit undersized for the position. You have Guillory back. He's been really good. Obviously, Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley are a year older in this defense under Blake Baker. They've done a really good job. But Bernard Gooden, I mean, when you signed him from South Florida, there were a lot of people out there that said, Bernard Gooden's going to start. Go watch his tape at South Florida. He's really good. There were some people that were like, he's a little undersized. He's probably a depth piece. When we were given the roster at fall camp, you immediately go, okay, this guy's this number so I can watch him out there on the field. What's their height and weight? I wish I still had it with me, but luckily I remember. I looked down. Who's 88? He's making plays. It said Bernard Gooden, 6'1", 268 pounds. I remember that vividly because I'm like, wait a minute. Your number one defensive tackle, the guy that's been the most disruptive player on the D-line all fall camp, is 6'1", 268 pounds. He's just a guy that finds a way. I mean, you did not have a guy on Bernard Gooden's level a year ago on that defensive line. Guillory maybe could have been that guy, but again, he got hurt week 2 of the season. Paez was never going to be that number one guy on the defensive line. He was a good player. He was a starter for you. And then JVR Suggs came in on passing downs. He wasn't an every down defensive tackle for you. Bernard Gooden, he didn't come off the field a whole heck of a lot. He will every now and then to get a breather and get some of those other guys in there, but Bernard Gooden's been the anchor of that defensive line, and he's done a heck of a job. Now, you knew your defensive ends were going to flash, right? You don't have a ton of sacks from the defensive end spot. Like, actually, Hunt Palmer, while we're talking about this, on LouisianaSports.net, he's got a piece up saying 3 players that, should get more playing time, one of which he mentions is Jamari Butler, which I think is a good choice because I think Jamari Butler's quietly been good. He hadn't had a ton of sacks, but he's had a lot of pressures. He's gotten in there with some tackles. Like, you brought in Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton, and Jamari Butler to pair with a Gabriel Relaford. A lot of people kind of forgot about Jamari Butler. They're like, Patrick Payton, the premier pass rusher. We know how physical Jack Pyburn is. He's going to stop the run. He can move down and play tackle if he needs to. Jamari Butler has maybe been the best of those 3. He's done a really nice job. Like, LSU has 11 sacks in 5 games. Pyburn has 1. Patrick Payton has half a sack. Gabriel Relaford didn't have 1. And Butler doesn't have 1. but they're disruptive. They do what they need to do to get the job done, which is why a lot of teams aren't running in between the tackles on this defensive line and why you're forcing a lot of turnovers, because while there's not sacks, your defensive line is getting pressure. You are forcing some hurries. You haven't gotten to the quarterback a ton, but you're doing your job. You're making them uncomfortable. So I mean, look, you could go back and forth on the defense. Like you say, oh, the linebacking core. You could say, oh, hell, Harold Perkins. I mean, he's found his home at star. It's a perfect spot for it. We talked about that a lot in preseason. Saying, you tried him inside. You tried him on the edge. He's really good in coverage. You don't think he's an every down interior linebacker. You put him on the edge. Is he an every down pass rusher? You can do a little bit of all of that at the star position, which is why I liked it so much when they announced it was going to happen. He's been awesome. He might be the best player on your defense this year. No surprise to anyone, but Harold Perkins seems like he makes play after play after play in big moment. He has been awesome. Love him at the star position. We know the defense is good, though, right? Like, I'm giving you all these positives. What do you notice? All of them on the defensive side of the ball. There's fuel in the offense as well. Like, going back to the Ole Miss game. I know he got beat a few times. He's a true freshman. Although Curious Kern showed a lot of promise. He found out, I think they said 22 minutes before opening kickoff that he was going to start because Weston Davis got injured with a concussion in pregame. Still not 100% sure how that happens, but he did. And Curious Kern went in there and he held his own. I mean, again, you saw him get beat on the sack by Deshaun Womack, but Womack was way offsides, and ultimately they did call it. Like, there are a few things here and there, but I thought he played well, and so did Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly said in one of the postgame press conferences he did, I thought Curious Kern reminded me a lot of Emory Jones. You mean the guy that had to step in as a freshman because of injury, never relinquished that spot, and wound up being a 3-year starter for you? That guy? I'll take that comparison. I'll take that comparison all day long. He was a guy that had hype all fall camp. You were kind of looking for a spot for him. Maybe it's right tackle. Weston Davis' status is up in the air. He's been kind of shaky anyways. Maybe this is an opportunity for Curious Kern to get some more snaps. Also, Harlem Berry's quietly having a really good year. I was looking at the running game the other day because, shocker, that's what everyone's talking about this week. Harlem Berry is averaging 5 yards per carry for the Tigers. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, he only has 12 carries. Of course, he's got a pretty good average. He's got 22 on the year. I mean, that's not huge, but that's enough of a sample size in my eyes to say, okay, there's a little something here with Harlem Berry. He had the touchdown last week against Ole Miss. He was kind of your only running game in that ball game. He did a really nice job. He's probably going to continue to get more touches. You know, it's funny. I mentioned the article that Hunt put out. He was kind of in lockstep with me. Like, he mentioned Jamari Butler getting more snaps. The other two players, Curious Kern and Harlem Berry. Like, this isn't one person's opinion here. Go look at the numbers. Go look at the tape. Like, it backs it up. Curious Kern deserves more snaps. Harlem Berry deserves a heck of a lot more snaps, especially if Caden Durham's still not fully healthy. I imagine he'll give it a go against South Carolina and be pretty close to full strength. But even if he is full strength, you need a complimentary back. You need a number 2. It was Jawan Johnson, and it could still be Jawan. I think he's actually been pretty effective and efficient so far outside of the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss kind of bottled him up, but before that, I thought he did a really nice job. Harlem Berry needs touches too. Because, I mean, Caleb Jackson, there's just something up with Caleb Jackson. I don't know what it is. He's 235 pounds, and he doesn't really know it. So you have Durham. Can Johnson keep going? Can Harlem Berry get more carries in that rotation as well? All of a sudden, you may not have a dominant running back. You may not have a good running game, but can those 3 guys staying fresh and rotating in? Can they give you something in the running game? I think Harlem Berry's been pretty good. All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we get back, we're going to talk some New Orleans Saints, kind of get a more lengthy breakdown than that quick one I gave you at the end of hour 1. We got Ross Jackson of Locked On Saints and LouisianaSports.net. Coming up next, talking black and gold. That's here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Raising Cane's is our victory meal.
Football fans are some of the most dedicated fans in sports. It's a fundamental quality we share, and that fuels every single order of our hand-battered chicken fingers. Wherever there's football, there's Raising Cane's.
One love. Let's go.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar.
by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Need security services you can count on? With Veteran Security Services, you're always protected. Locally owned and proudly serving the Gulf Coast, they're not some big national firm chasing profits. They're neighbors protecting neighbors. From petrochemical plants and healthcare facilities to port and maritime operations, Veteran Security delivers reliable protection you can trust. Choose community. Choose confidence. Choose Veteran Security Services. Visit veteransecurityfirm.com.
While Louisiana politics can seem like they're from another planet, Moon Griffon isn't afraid to bring politicians back down to earth. Listen to the Moon Griffon Show weekday mornings at 9 on Talk 107.3.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team color, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
In South Louisiana, you can always count on good people coming together to help our children.
At Dreams Come True, we grant wishes for Louisiana children with life-threatening illnesses. But to do this, we need funds.
That's why we're trying to raise $100,000 for Dreams Come True by giving away the Blessed Children's School.
Make your backyard's dream come true while helping our kids.
Just go to dreampoolla.com and you can find out how your $25 donation might help win you a Duplessis pool.
Every winner knows a great play starts with a solid game plan and the right team by your side. At Sunshine, we're here to keep your operation running strong. From tractors to harvesters, we've got the John Deere equipment you need to tackle every job with confidence. Because when the work's done right, there's more time for the things that matter, like cheering on your favorite team. Make Sunshine Quality Solutions part of your playbook this season and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for Hunt Palmer. We got about 40 minutes or so left here on this football Friday. I want to go back to the phone lines right now because the LSU Tigers don't play, but the New Orleans Saints do, hosting the New York Giants this Sunday. To break it all down, we got Ross Jackson with Locked On Saints and writes for us right here at LouisianaSports.net. Ross, how are you today?
Hey, man, doing great. Glad to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks so much for hopping on. Ross, when I look at this game, obviously you're playing a quarterback like Jackson Dart. He has a little bit more of a running element than a guy like Russell Wilson would. And I understand they gave up 31 points last week to the Bills. I understand that Josh Allen was good in the fourth quarter. He's Josh Allen. He might be the best football player in the NFL. But for the most part, I thought you actually did an okay job against Josh Allen. I mean, What are your thoughts on maybe the improvements of this defense? Like, how can they slow down Jackson Dart on the ground? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, look, I completely agree with you. I actually think the Saints did do a pretty good job up against Josh Allen until Josh Allen became Josh Allen in the fourth quarter, right? Does things that MVP-level players do. Jackson Dart is not that player. Now, Jackson Dart does have the ability to be mobile. We're also about a guy that got sacked 5 times last week, and as an offensive line that has to do a lot of improvising because of the amount of improvising that he does, and it's unlikely that that's going to necessarily, completely flip on its head in 1 week. And so I think the Saints defense, which, has, 11 sacks in the season so far, isn't really generating pressure at a consistent rate or a high rate. They're one of the lowest teams in pressure rating. But when they do get pressure, they're getting and making plays on the quarterback. And so I think that's going to be a big part of what the Saints are going to be looking to do. They're going to try to disguise, make him think with the ball in his hand, and see if they can get their guys there.
Look, I mean, Dart might be a rookie, but it looks like, Quincy Riley might be set to start due to this Yadam injury. I mean, do you have any expectations for him in this game?
Yeah, I mean, look, Riley is somebody that I think they've been working more and more into the lineup since that Seattle Seahawks game. He was out there early on in that game, and then late when the Saints kind of, sat down all their starters once that game got out of hand late in the fourth quarter. And so during that time, he ended up making a play by punching a football out on a run play, which is not usually what you're used to seeing corners do. But that's the kind of player that Quincy Riley is. He's the kind of guy that gets involved in run defense. He's a good tackler. He wants to go out there and make plays on the football. And he's a ball hawk. I mean, that's the guy that had the most interceptions of any corner in the 2025 draft class. And so he's a player that, could help this New Orleans Saints team quite a bit if he can continue that trend going into the NFL. Saints didn't get their first interception until another rookie, Jonas Sanker, at safety, got it for them last week. And so I'm sure he'd love to add to the tally of takeaways, which he's already shown propensity to be able to do.
Look, Ross, one more on the defense before we switch over to the offensive side of the ball. I was looking at the injury report yesterday, and you're getting a little bit healthier. You're getting some guys back, but what is the deal with Chase Young? Because I feel like at the beginning of the year, they were like, oh, yeah, it's this calf thing. It doesn't seem to be anything serious. Like, we're in week 5, and it doesn't seem like he's any closer to playing now than he was week 1. What's the issue there?
Yeah, so when the injury first happened, Chase Young, gave a vehement disagreement with the idea that the injury would be long-term in the locker room. And then that kind of set the expectation that, this isn't a big deal. It won't take long. Kellen Moore said that it would be a week-to-week situation, but never really said that it wasn't going to be, what it was or wasn't going to be, I guess, timeline-wise. And so I think the biggest indication for what the expectation was, however, is that they didn't put him on injured reserve. And I know you're trying to save those designated to return spots, but typically when you use those designated to return spots, you probably want to use them on the guys that are the most important players to your team. And that was certainly the expectation of who Chase Young would be coming into the season. But now he's been off the field for 5 weeks. And I think that goes to show that there was obviously a different expectation versus the reality of whatever happened. So I don't know if it was a setback. I don't know if it was anything else. I thought that it was a very loud statement that the Saints ruled him out on Wednesday. Didn't even give him a chance to practice Thursday and Friday. They had already ruled him out by the end of Wednesday's practice. I thought that was pretty loud. So whether it was whatever they expected, it was actually worse, or whether it was a setback, or whether it was just a statement from the Saints by saying, we're just going to rule you out, I don't know. But in any case, this situation obviously has not gone the way, or at least I shouldn't say obviously, but appears very strongly to not have gone the direction that the Saints initially expected.
All right, Ross, switch it over to the offensive side of things. Like, you're going up against the Giants team that has a pretty good defensive line, like for the most part. Now, you're without Cesar Ruiz, but you do get Trevor Penning back. How do you see this O-line holding up against this Giants front?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to be violent. And two of the most physical and violent players on that offensive line are going to be starting this week, and that's Trevor Penning as well as Torricelli Simpkins, the young rookie, who I spoke to the run game coordinator, TJ Paganetti, today, and I asked him about Torricelli Simpkins. I can't say the first thing on air that he said about him, but I can say that he called him one of the smartest players that he's ever met, and playing with a very physical play style. I think that's exactly what you need in a game like this. You're going to go up against some really, really good defensive linemen. I know Dexter Lawrence hasn't practiced all week, with illness, but I don't think that matters. I think he'll be out there on Sunday, and he's a veteran that knows exactly what his role is and how to do it in this defense. Brian Burns is crafty. Kayvon Thibodeau is really good and athletic. And then you got a young guy in Abdul Carter, but obviously, of course, one of the top draft picks in this year's class and one of the top pass rushers expected to become over the course of his career. And so I think you're looking for those guys that have both the intelligence, the smarts, and the aggressive play style. And so it's going to be really interesting to see him stepping in place of Cesar Ruiz. And the Saints got a little bit of help today, too, with Dylan Ravens getting back to practice. So they might be able to have him active for an emergency situation should they need to where they don't have to fall back to some of the, undrafted guys or some of the guys that were, brought in late or anything like that. So I think it's going to have to be the biggest thing. They're going to have to set the tone up against a really, really good defensive line. If they can do that, the rest of that Giants defense is vulnerable and susceptible to big plays. And so if the offensive line can hold up and maybe the run game creates some opportunities for that defensive line and maybe have to second guess and play honest, there should be some opportunities available for Spencer Rattler in the passing game as well.
So let's get into that. Like, the Saints attack, and you were just mentioning the running game, which, again, I thought they did a pretty good job against the Bills. But, the D-line that you were just talking about with Lawrence and those guys, a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? Because, they're going to stop the run. They're a good D-line. But you just mentioned all the pass rushers. I mean, Carter, Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. Do you think it's the running game approach similar to what it was against the Bills?
Yeah, I think so. Look, that for all the things that those players that we just talked about do very well in the pass game, they're not great in the run game. This is a 29th ranked rushing defense, and I think that they're actually either last or one of the 2 or 3 last, like bottom 2 or 3, when it comes to yards per attempt, which obviously is always a little bit different based upon how many rushing attempts against the team, all those other things. And so there's a real opportunity there for a Saints team that really, really started to figure out its identity as a rushing offense last week up against the Buffalo Bills, to be able to build off of the success that they had against the 32nd ranked rushing defense, now going up against the 29th ranked rushing defense. So a real opportunity for them. If they can do that, it forces that New York Giants defensive line to play a little bit more honestly, so that they can't just pin their ears back on obvious passing downs and obvious passing situations to go after. And let's go after Spencer Rattler. It lets the Saints play a little bit more of that mixed down football where it's either pass or run. They have the options available to them both. And then that in turn helps to open up the passing game for the receivers and pass catchers as well.
Speaking of pass catchers, 2 guys that haven't played yet this year, but they seem to be getting a little bit healthier. I mean, what's the latest on Taysom Hill and Foster Moreau?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we spoke with Taysom Hill today, and he was really brutally honest about sort of the process, and that 2025 was not a guaranteed situation for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was really, really, you could tell that it meant a lot to him to be back at practice throughout this week. He's listed as a quarterback now as opposed to a tight end, but we know that doesn't matter.
Right.
And so we'll see exactly how involved those guys are. I don't know if we'll see either one of them on Sunday. There's the recovery process in terms of being healthy enough to play football, but then there's the conditioning process. And then in this system in particular, or this situation in particular, it's a brand new offensive system to fit into. So is 3 practices enough to get those guys out there? We'll see. I mean, it's not like the Saints have played their 3rd tight end too incredibly often throughout this season. So maybe there is kind of a package for Foster Moreau to fit into. Maybe there is some kind of short yardage package or short or red zone package for Taysom Hill to fit into. But when those guys do make their way back to the field, whether it's this week, I'd be way less surprised next week. Like next week feels very possible for them up against the Patriots. I'd be a little bit more surprised this week. But when those guys come in, I think it'll start with a really focused kind of role for both of them and then kind of grow out from there.
All right, Ross, last one before we get you out of here. Does Spencer Rattler get his first win as a starting quarterback?
Yes, I think this is the Saints' first best week and opportunity to get a win. There should be some things available to them in the passing game. They have not been able to complete but just 3 20-plus yard completions so far this season. I think they could potentially do that, replicate that number in this game alone. And if the run game is doing what it did with Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller last week, I think that's going to help them out quite a bit. So I think the biggest thing is just going to be not letting Jackson Dart and that Cam Scatterbo as well. Those 2 rookies create a run game against you to where they're controlling the football. That's how the Giants beat the Chargers last week, even though it was kind of a subpar game otherwise. They controlled the clock. And so you've got to be able to counter that once you have the ball, New Orleans. And so I think that's something that they'll have to do. But if they can do that, I think this should be a win for them, and it should be Spencer Rattler's first win.
All right, you heard it here. Ross Jackson guaranteeing a win for the black and gold over there.
I'll say 95%, man. Like, I'm very confident. I'm very confident about this game.
Well, there we go. Almost a guarantee for our guy, Ross Jackson. Again, Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints podcast, LouisianaSports.net. You can catch him on Twitter at Ross Jackson. Nola, Ross, thanks so much for hopping on with me today.
Of course, man. Thanks so much for having me. You take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely. That there was Ross Jackson. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to look at some of the top college football games because while LSU doesn't play, there are a lot of good ones for you football fans to check out. That's coming up on the other side or on a Football Friday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Safety, probably a big deal if you're in the market for a vehicle. If you go shop at Genesis of Baton Rouge, you will know that you're getting behind the wheel of one of the safest cars on the road because every single model on the line, every single model was a IIHA top safety pick. Some of them were top safety picks plus. So from the entry level to the highest end, you're talking about a car that is among the safest on the road. It's a big, big deal. So you start there, then you go check out the style, the comfort, all those bells and whistles that come with a luxury brand of vehicle. That's all there for you at Genesis of Baton Rouge. And if you make a purchase, every single purchase comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Every single purchase comes with 3 years of complimentary valet maintenance. It's all there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. I invite you to go by and see them. Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital, or start your process today online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to pipe fabrication, time is money. And at River Parish Contractors, we make every second count. Our 36,000 square foot shop is ready to take on your projects right now. With experienced welders, precise fittings, and fast turnarounds you can trust. Whether it's a single custom spool or a full-scale run, we have the capacity and the skill to keep your job on schedule. Call us or visit rpcontractors.com for your quote. That's rpcontractors.com.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit LouisianaPropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Trust isn't given, it's earned by showing up, leading the way, and performing at your best when it matters most. Our Lady of the Lake sports medicine experts know what it takes to improve performance and build champions at every level. That's why LSU chose Our Lady of the Lake as its championship health partner, trusting Louisiana's best medical team to care for our state's best athletes. From championship athletes to everyday champions, trusted care starts here.
I trust the lake.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, welcome back in. Hour number 2 here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Got about 20 minutes or so left in this Football Friday edition. And what I want to do right now, I understand that LSU's on their bye week and they don't play, but if you're a fan of college football like I am, you're going to watch pretty much regardless of who's playing. And I think there's some pretty good games out there. Like, we'll start with the 11 a.m. window. And Beck, if you see one in the 11 a.m. window, you want to throw it in there, go right ahead. But like, I'm starting with Iowa State, Cincinnati. Now, this game, Cincinnati was a 2.5-point favorite earlier. They're now 1.5. I understand why they're the favorite. It's because Iowa State lost both of their starting corners to knee injuries. They are both out for the year. This will be the first game without both of them. But Jeremiah Cooper, who's a really good corner for him and one of the starters, he missed last week's game against Arizona. And they held a really good Arizona offense to 14 points. I like this Iowa State team. If you listen to OTB and you heard our preseason top 25 rankings, it's a team I was high on then. I've bet on them multiple times this year, picked them to win. They haven't let me down yet. I think Iowa State wins this game. I don't think Cincinnati should be the favorite. Like, I get it. Brendan Sorsby throws the ball well. You're scared that secondary is going to give up some points. But let's not forget that Iowa State's got a pretty efficient offense, too. Like, Rocco Becht has been there for 3 years. You have Carson Hansen back, who was a good running back for you a year ago. You have 5 offensive linemen from last year's team with starting experience that returned this year. So a good O-line, a 3-year starter at quarterback, a solid running back. And sure, you lost Jaden Higgins. You lost Jalen Noel. But you have 2 tight ends. Benjamin Brahmer's one of them. Like they do a really good job there as well. I think Iowa State wins this game. And, I think they win this game by about a touchdown. I think they win by 6 or 7 points. I don't think Cincinnati should be favored in this game. Iowa State is 5-0. I trust Matt Campbell. And again, Rocco Becht has been there, done that. He's played in a lot of big-time football games. Beck, am I off base with that? Like, I understand that their 2 starting corners are out, but Iowa State had one of the best returning production of any team. They had both of their starting safeties from a year ago back as well. Like, yeah, they lost their 2 corners, but I think this Iowa State team's pretty deep.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that, but it's always interesting whenever you get a home dog favored by that little. You would expect Iowa State to be favored in that game. So sometimes I wonder about those games. Like, okay, well, yeah, it seems like maybe it's one of those ones that Vegas knows something about that I don't. But I'd agree with you there. I would expect Iowa State to be favored in that one, even though it is in Cincinnati. But Cincinnati, yeah, look, they haven't done anything. I mean, they haven't played really anyone. They lost to Nebraska. They beat Bowling Green, played Northwestern State, and then they beat Kansas by 3 points. Right. So what do we really know about them? Iowa State got a pretty good win opening the season against Kansas State. They beat Iowa. They blew out Arizona. So I think
Iowa was a 5-point favorite against Arizona. They beat them by over 20.
Yes, so
that's a good one.
That's a pretty good one. So I'm with you there. I would expect Rocco Becht to go in there and lead Iowa State and to a win there. Right.
And so many people are going to say, well, look, having 2 starting corners are big. I understand that. Both your starting corners out is big. But looking at the offense, I think Iowa State can outscore Cincinnati, even if their defense does give up a lot of points. I mean, we're acting like this offense is really one-dimensional. I think Iowa State's a pretty complete football team. I think they win that. All right, here's one for you in the 11 a.m. window, Beck. Can I interest you? Are you ready for this?
No.
Listen, man. The championships between these 2 coaches is 8 combined between the college and the NFL ranks. They are 2 big-name programs. They are 2 premier college football coaches. Can I interest you in Clemson at North Carolina that is apparently, I've seen the joke going around that it's going to be on Cartoon Network. That's how bad both these teams are.
No, you cannot interest me in that game. That's going to be an absolute rock fight. I mean, it's pretty telling how bad North Carolina is when Clemson are 14.5-point favorites on the road, and Clemson has done nothing to show any sort of pulse at all, and they're going in there at 14.5-point favorites. But I still don't think this. I mean, of course, I still don't think the Bill Belichick experiment is going to work. I mean, it's pretty clear so far. It's not going well. It's only the first year, so maybe he can build the culture that he had with the Patriots in a few years here, but this is a totally different ball game in college football, and especially with NIL and everything. So no, I'm not interested in Clemson, North Carolina. Sorry.
I got to tell you, I know Clemson hasn't been good this year. I'd lay the 13.5 and take Clemson to cover that game. I think North Carolina does not have a Power 5 or Power 4 now roster. They don't. Their roster is awful. I don't know how they have 2 wins. Like, I get it. It's against smaller schools. But, I mean, you look at what they've done against any school with a pulse. Like, they can't get anything going. Like, you lose to TCU 48-14. And that was a game where you scored in your opening drive, and you're like, okay, maybe North Carolina has anything. Nope. You beat Charlotte 20-3. They're not very good. Your other win is against Richmond. You lost to UCF. You got the doors blown off of you. The 2 Power 4 opponents that you have played this year, TCU and UCF, have beaten you 48-14 and 34-9. This is not a Power 4 roster. Again, I think Clemson goes in there, and like Beck's right, that Clemson hasn't looked good either, but I cannot take this North Carolina program seriously. You were saying this is only the first year of Bill Belichick. I'm not sure he even wants to come back after this year, man. They're not firing him after 1 year, but like I don't think that he's going to want to come back. And he's not going to get any NFL offers because he's been so bad. That's not going to happen. I mean, Belichick he doesn't even seem like he wants to be there. Like there's the pictures of his girlfriend coming down pregame on the field talking to him. Like he's not taking this job seriously. He hasn't taken his roster serious, and that's the exact reason why they're a joke this year. Like I'm good on that. All right, 2:30 window. A little bit better. Like, look, the 11 a.m. window is not great. Like, I think Iowa State, Cincinnati by far is the best one. Like, there's not a whole lot. 2:30 window. A lot of people are predicting this, Beck. A lot of people are saying they think Florida's going to beat Texas. Do you think Florida at home is going to beat the Texas Longhorns?
No.
I don't either. I think that program is done. I think Billy Napier, if he wins this game, it's just a stay of execution for him, and he's prolonging his career at Florida by another couple weeks. I don't think Billy Napier is going to make it through this season. Again, we were talking during break. Like, we give bold predictions on OTB before the season. Mine was that Florida's going to win 5 games or less. I think they're going to finish with a losing record, and they're 1-3. They're well on their way to do that because they got a hell of a schedule. That game just, I know a lot of people are saying they're interested in that one. I'm not. And yes, it's down Texas 5.5. I don't think Texas is going to blow them out. I don't think Florida wins this game. Like, I could see Texas losing it just because that's what Texas does in the past, but this is a bad Florida football team. Like, even if they stop Arch Manning, which is perfect, totally possible, he hadn't been great, they can't score points on offense. I mean, they can't do anything offensively. Even if Texas scores 20 points, I think that's enough to beat this Florida team. All right, here's the big one, Alabama, Vanderbilt. Does Vanderbilt do it twice?
No, I don't think they do. I do.
Do they
think,
cover the 11 and a half?
That's I think it's going to be a good game.
Okay.
I know. I mentioned this. We had a station survey. I don't know if it's probably going to come out tomorrow. About
I gotta freaking do the station survey.
We have one coming soon this Saturday. Talking about the rest of the season for LSU, and I mentioned the Vanderbilt game because, like I said, I'm sure there were a lot of people in Tuscaloosa that were really laughing before that game, thinking, "Oh, we're playing Vanderbilt. What's going to happen? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Well, you could lose." And especially with this offense, I know they haven't really been tested that much yet. In terms of their schedule, I mean, they went on the road to Columbia, and that was a good win. I know Lenora Sellers got hurt, but he's not playing on defense. They still scored 31 points against them.
Right.
I think this is going to be a good game. Diego Pavia is he's just a difference maker for them. I mean, he has in the last 2 years he's been really good. And I think he's going to be able to run an efficient offense in Tuscaloosa, and it's going to be a close game.
I think it's going to be a close game, too. I do think Alabama wins this game. I think that, if Vanderbilt wouldn't have embarrassed them a year ago, maybe it'd be a little bit Alabama. What Alabama's not doing is they're not overlooking Vanderbilt like they did a year ago. I mean, it was very obvious because people are going to say, well, this isn't your dad's Vanderbilt or whatever you want to call it. I get that. They lost 6 games a year ago. Like, they're actually a lot better this year than they were. Like, Alabama wasn't what they are. Vanderbilt was a little bit better. That was a 7-6 football team a year ago. They're better this year, but Alabama's also not overlooking a 5-0 team that is ranked inside the top 20.
Yeah.
I think Ty Simpson, like, whatever shortcomings he had in that Florida State game,
he's figured it out.
He looked really good against a good defense at Georgia. I mean, I think Alabama does. I think Vanderbilt easily covers that 11.5, but I think Bama takes about a touchdown. I think they get that done. All right, before we get a break here, night game back. Which one are you paying attention to? Do you like Mississippi State at Texas A&M, or are you going Miami, Florida State? Which one will capture your attention tomorrow night?
It's Miami, Florida State. I do think that Mississippi State has shown their mettle this season.
I don't think there's any way Texas A&M beats them by 16.5. No, they're favored by. That is not happening.
That line is very crazy to me. And again, that line scares me a bit.
Look, if Texas A&M covers 16.5, I'll come in Monday and be like, hey, Texas A&M might be the best team in the SEC because Mississippi State's playing good. They should have won last week.
They did
against Tennessee. I don't see Texas A&M winning by that much.
Yeah, no, that line is a little scary to me, but I would definitely side with Mississippi State not losing by 17 points in that game. But Miami, Florida State is very interesting. These are two teams that haven't been relevant really recently, and now they are. They're both in the top 20. Florida State, of course, that great win against Alabama to open the season. And Carson Beck looks like a reinvigorated guy playing quarterback in Miami. Yes, I went to journalism school, Taylor. I know some words. But yeah, no, this is a really cool matchup to see both of these teams being relevant right now. I mean, it's still early in the season, but you got Miami at number 3 right now, and they kind of look like maybe the class of the ACC right now. And Florida State,
it's not November yet.
It's not. And
Florida State gets to play them before November, which sucks. Like Miami collapses every November. They're probably going to do it here again.
Yeah, and then it's unfortunate that Florida State lost that one in overtime to Virginia. But again, what did you really expect from Florida State this year? I mean, even just that first win was great for them. So that should be that'll be definitely the more interesting game probably of Saturday.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Florida State does have a shot in that. They're 4.5 point underdogs at home. Before we get a break, we could me and you could take a trip for a cool $307. We could sit in the upper deck. That is the cheapest ticket currently for Miami at Florida State. Wow. Everyone fired up about that one. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. We got one segment left. We're wrapping it up like we do every day with a little take it or leave it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Brand new here in Baton Rouge. If you're into golf, no matter your skill level, Swing Easy Golf Club is an awesome spot for you. You can work on your game no matter the weather conditions outside. If it's 1,000 degrees or if it's raining or if it's 25 degrees, it gets dark at 5 o'clock like we'll get to in December and January. The bays at Swing Easy Golf Club, always ready to rock. And you can work on your game there with the driving range mode, or it's a great place to hang out and socialize. Grab a beer, grab a glass of wine, hit some golf shots, play Pebble Beach. Play Cypress Point, play St. Andrews, one of those famous golf courses in the world right there on their simulators. It's a great place, a great environment, and an awesome spot to hang out or work on your golf game. They're Segan at Perkins. At Swing Easy Golf Club, you can find them online at swingeasygcbr.com. Swing Easy Golf Club, swingeasygcbr.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
My father, J.B. Falgu, had a vision of growth for First American Bank and the communities we serve. The bank's foundation was built on his legacy of compassion, loyalty, and dedication. Through his years of leadership, First American has prospered to heights even J.B. could not have imagined. I know my father would be extremely proud of the customer service and financial stability that First American provides to Southeast Louisiana. We continue to thrive because of the legacy of J.B. Falgu.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com by the 21st. We'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Welcome back in. Final segment here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Mr. Hunt Palmer. He will be back on Monday. Just a few more minutes to go here, and we're going to close this thing out like we do every day with a little take it or leave it. Hit it, Beck.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, what we got?
All righty. First of all, of course, sponsored by Flight by Yingling. I'll throw that one in there for you, Hunt. Thank you very much. All right. It's a great beer. I've had it many times. Cassie's had it.
I just ran out.
Oh, yeah, I did too. Cassie's had it. She doesn't even like beer, and she thought it was good.
Cassie, more of a tequila shot girl?
Yes, of course. She is. Definitely that. But, all right, first one. Theo Vaughn as guest picker for Alabama Vanderbilt. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. He's not from there. Like, I understand that.
He's a Vandy guy. So why would they? Why would they have
a lot of time in Nashville? No. He's from Covington. Like,
yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense because he's if anything, he's a Vanderbilt guy. So the game's in Tuscaloosa.
Found this out today. Channing Tatum's from Alabama. He's an Alabama fan.
They could have went with him.
They went Justin Thomas a few times. Yeah. And there's some athletes you could go as well. Like, yeah, I'm leaving that. He doesn't really have a strong tie to either school. Like, I know, his time in Nashville, he's kind of become like an adopted Vandy fan. But I mean, you could have got somebody that's more aligned with either of those schools. I'm leaving that.
Yeah, I like Theo, but this is if the game was in Nashville, then that would make a little bit more sense. But the fact it's in Tuscaloosa, yeah, I'm not really. I'm sure Alabama people are pretty fired up about that. But moving on, October is the best month. Take it or leave it.
Easily take this. Taking this so hard, especially here in Louisiana. I think it's the best weather month we have because, like, I don't want to be sweating as soon as I walk outside, but I'm also not a huge fan of the cold. You got, like, mid-80s in October. It's great. Football season in full swing. It's spooky season. Love Halloween. That's a big thing for me. The haunted houses, the scary movies, everything. October vibes all the way around. Take it. Absolutely.
All righty, next one. Mac Jones, 3-0 as McCorkle Jones. That's his real name, by the way. McCorkle is 3-0 as the 49ers starting QB and has thrown 6 touchdowns and 1 pick. Brock Purdy is 1-1 with 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. McCorkle is the new starter in San Fran. Take it or leave it. I think you got to leave that.
Not a shot at Mac. I'm leaving it. I can give you 253 million reasons why Brock Purdy is going to be the starting quarterback. Because I do think Purdy's a good quarterback. He's been playing a little banged up all year long as well, and they paid him a ton of money to be the starter. Mac Jones, it's good to have a backup of that quality. He's not going to be the starting quarterback long term. It is Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I gotta say though, very impressive what he's done in these games. I mean, the Saints, not great team, but still played well there. And then last night, man, he put on a pretty good performance there in that one.
Are you telling me that Bill Belichick did not put Mac Jones in the best position to win?
Maybe.
The longer Bill Belichick coaches football, the more I believe it was all Tom Brady.
I mean, of course, almost everybody would scoff at that and say it's blasphemy to say that Bill Belichick isn't a good coach. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was all Tom Brady, but look, I mean, when you have what most people say the best quarterback of all time, it's hard to argue whether or not the coach was the main factor or really a big factor in why they were so good.
We were looking at this the other day. It's either 10 or 11 years that he was a coach in the NFL without Tom Brady. Had 2 winning seasons in those 10 years.
Yep. All right, moving on. I got a few quick ones here. Jackson Dart says he has a chip on his shoulder after the Saints passed on him. The Saints made a mistake. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it, and here's why. I don't care if Jackson Dart's good or not. If you didn't want him at 9, you didn't think he was your franchise quarterback. Like, I understand the Giants traded back up. If the Saints truly thought this was their franchise quarterback, a franchise quarterback's worth the number 9 overall pick. They didn't. They stuck to their guns. They didn't take it.
Last one. The Cubs were going to win the World Series. Take it or leave it. Take it.
I'll take it. I'm going to leave it. I know Jacob Beck is a fan.
I'll take
it. For selfish reasons, I need a Hunt Palmer meltdown on this show. So for that reason alone, I am pulling for the Milwaukee Brewers because Hunt thinks that a team that wins games is not a good baseball team, which blows my mind.
I agree with him. They're bad.
I need a Hunt Palmer meltdown. Consider me a Brewers fan here moving forward throughout the postseason. All right, that's going to do it for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. He'll be back on Monday talking LSU South Carolina game week.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very cost efficient